How many of you ready to go? Wow. Look at this phenomenal audience, better than phenomenal audience. Do you remember why you went into business for yourself to start with? The brutal reality of most small business owners' lives, you feel like a slave to your business, very little family time, business consumes your mind, 24/7, major stress, no real freedom. You feel like you have a job instead of a business and your day is consumed putting out brush fires. How many of you either feel that way right now or you felt that way in the past? Let me see your hands. Yeah, just about every small business owner on the planet for sure. Anyway, here's why I do what I do. And here's what I asked Brian. What I asked Brian, the number one question was, why do you do what you do? I want to ask you that same question. Why do you do what you do? See, Brian's called to this. He loves this. He loves coming to speak. He can't wait to talk to y'all. He can't wait. He loves you. And he doesn't even know you yet. He loves what he does. I'm called to do this. The reason that I do what I do is because of guys like this, John Maxwell right here, who his business was literally losing money when he started here, and he increased by 400% and got profitable the first year, and he's become a great friend. This young lady right here, this community, you guys loving on her, saved her marriage. Sherry Perry, who can't be here, is it literally changed her whole life, and she's sent her team to be here. See, it doesn't matter where you, thank you very much. Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter where you're starting from. How many of you know it matters where you're going? But you got to know why you're doing what you're doing. The reason that I do what I do is because of people like Brenda Sell, who her husband, who ran the business, passed away, and she didn't know how to run this business. Her mom, who did all the accounting and everything, got sick, couldn't work. She's holding this business, and Tom and I had met them in Atlanta, and so she joins up the inner circle. So we helped her with that business. And then she got cancer, and for 2 years, this community right here walked through that with her. So not only did her business survive, but she's cancer-free. That's why I do what I do. Jeremy and Stephanie back here, when they first started with us, they had done $67,000 in business the whole year, small business. Last month, they did $65,000 in 1 month. The reason I do what I do is because of people like this right here, Matt McKinley, who, although he had a good business, doing $8.5 million a year when he came to us, but it was disorganized. He didn't have these systems in place. And he was able to get focused and get those systems and that team, and he's done a phenomenal job. And not only grew his revenue significantly, but now he's got a rocking business. And one thing that all of these people have in common is they just keep showing up. It's amazing how that happens, isn't it? It's all I've done for the last 30-something years, 32 years, almost 33 years. Just keep showing up. Keep learning. So give yourselves a big hand clap for being here. All right. If you will go ahead and open up your book now, let's get into a little bit of content. I shared with you that back in 1997, I learned 2 secrets that changed my life. Okay? All right. So I'm going to give you guys some basic stuff, and then in a little bit, we're going to actually turn on our weekly Inner Circle webcast, and I'm going to give you a very special message that's not in your agenda. That is the latest thing that I've been working on. Okay? But let's get some basics first. Back in 1997, I shared with you that I learned two secrets. Number one, you got to have systems in your business. Number two, the one and only reason your business exists is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. And my acronym for LIFE stands for living in freedom every day. See, there's no freedom in being a slave to your business. There's no freedom in being broken in debt. There's no freedom in having difficult relationships. And by the way, that was the quote that got me into the last chapter of Zig Ziglar's very last book. So if your business exists for one reason only, and that is to help you achieve your life goals, then you got to have some goals, right? You got to have some life goals. So the question is, do you have a vision for your life? Do you have a vision for your life? This is one of the reasons I love this wheel of life right here. There's 7 core areas on this wheel. I want to ask you a question. Which one of those areas are you supposed to be unsuccessful in? None of them. But isn't it true that many of us settle in a lot of those areas? Because maybe we don't know that we know that we know. Here's my philosophy on a scale of 1 to 10. What's a phenomenal life? What's real freedom? And by the way, that's a big word for Brian. Brian said the reason that you have a business is freedom. You got to do what you do so that you can have freedom. So my philosophy is a phenomenal life is on a scale of 1 to 10 on that wheel of life, be a borderline 11 on all 7 of them. I mean, like color off the charts, because that's what happens when you really follow this stuff is you'll do more than you ever thought you could do. But you got to stay with it. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep studying. You see, and you got to build the foundation. You can't short circuit this thing. You can't say, "Oh, just give me the, latest greatest stuff," and not have this foundation. The one and only reason your business exists is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. So you got to have a vision for your life. So what's your vision for your spiritual life? What's your vision for your family life? What's your vision for your financial life? How much money are you supposed to have? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of thought life do you want to have? See, you got to be intentional about that. You have to wake up every day knowing what kind of life you want to live, because how many of you would agree that your business can have a dramatic impact on your personal life? Is that true? Let me ask you a question. How many of you found out that the impact that your business can have on your life can be a positive one? Lord willing, I'm about 6 weeks away from moving into a dream, my dream home on the beach that I've been working on for 20 years. What if I quit? What if I didn't keep going? And I have a team that loves their work. They handle everything. I just get to walk in and take the stage. By the way, give my team a big hand clap. Amazing. For those of you that don't know, this is Denise Conjette Antoinette Pinella Partridge. She will be here later today, so please say hi to her. And we have one phenomenal son. His name is Christian, and he'll be 24 on Saturday. I doubt that you'll see him because we rarely see him. No, that's not true. Actually, I travel a lot. Denise sees him all the time. Of course, mother's going to see him. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the 5 secrets of a phenomenal business. There are 5 different areas of business. The first one is marketing, and that's everything that you do to attract prospects to your business. The second one is sales. That's everything that you do to convert prospects into paying customers. The third one is operations. That's everything that you do to serve your clients, your patients, your members or guests. We have over 100 different industries in the inner circle currently. I mean, if you just talk to people around the room, there might be 100 different industries in this room right now. Everything from chiropractic to training to accounting to plumbing to cleaning to horse trailer dealerships to architecture. I mean, you name it, it's in this room. And all these systems have worked for all of those areas. Then fourth is administration. That's everything that you do to track all your numbers. And then finally is leadership, which really should be the first one because everything rises and falls on leadership. Michael Gerber says this. He said, the secret of a business is the system. How many of you know that if you try to recreate things every day and you don't have a systematic way of doing things, that it's going to be harder and you're going to go slower, right? How many of you have had to revisit that over time? The secret is the system. The question is why. The one and only reason your business exists is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. So we start with what we call a GPS. First is goals. Where are you going? Brian's going to talk to you a lot about this. What are your goals? Where are you going? P is for plans. How will you get there? You need a map. And then S is for systems. What vehicles will you use? So if we're going on a trip, then we've got a destination in mind, right? We've got a road map, or we've got something called GPS on our phones now, right? So I just bought Rick Jones' car about 3 days ago, and I'm trying to get all the Bluetooth stuff. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, and it's like, how many of you have ever noticed that, like, okay, on a phone call, I can hear you, but when I turn my GPS on, the volume's not right. So how many of you know that I need Santiago to take that car it'll take him about 2 minutes to fix all that stuff, right? So that's one of the reasons, by the way, that I hire a lot of young people is because they know tech and I don't know tech, all right? So what vehicles will you use? Think about your business. Your business is that vehicle, or your businesses are those vehicles that are going to help you achieve your life goals. I got certified in Gary Keller's One Thing training, and he has something in the business planning that we do in that program, and he calls GPS goals, priorities, and strategies. So you have a goal for the year. You have your business goal, for example, what your revenue is and what everything's going to look like and that vision for your business. And then you pick 3 priorities. 3 priorities that are going to have a huge impact in your business. And then you got to develop, 3 to 5 strategies for each of those priorities. All right? Now, we don't want to just have leadership, right? What kind of leadership do we want to have? Phenomenal leadership. And we don't want to just have phenomenal leadership. We want to have phenomenal leadership systems. That includes a system on how you attract people, how you hire them, how you interview them. And those of you that are in the inner circle, we've got all those resources. You don't want just marketing, right? What kind of marketing do you want? Yeah, I'm telling you, AC does some phenomenal marketing. I mean, the guy, you gotta talk to this guy. He's brilliant. You never thought I'd say that about you publicly, did you? But I bet it makes you feel good, doesn't it? 3 is we don't want just sales. We want, all right? And then operations. I mean, how about if we knock people's socks off when we serve them? Like the most phenomenal experience ever. And then what if we had phenomenal administration systems where we just get our stats like clockwork? Well, guess what? You got to have a team and you got to have systems for that. See, you need 3 things in your business. You need leadership. We got to become better leaders. You need people, because if you don't have the right people, how many of you were here when we had Dave Anderson on the stage? How many of you, your behind is still smoking from the scorching that he gave us? Huh? I'm telling you. What'd he say? What's the first page in his book, Up Your Business? It's about the people, right? The first act of leadership is not finding the right people, it's attracting the right people. You might be able to find people, but if you don't attract them, if you're not carrying yourself as the right kind of leader. Ellen's going to tell a story. I did a 2-day pod at Zoom. She's going to tell a story about the young man that's sitting next to her with his team. It was amazing. And I asked him some questions about it. I was like, wow, you went from there to there. Wow. It's about the people. And it had to do with their people. They got great people. You got to hire the right people. If you don't hire the right people, nothing else works. Nothing else works. Then you have to develop those people. So you need leadership, you need people, and you need systems. How many of you know, we went to the Super Bowl this year because it was in Houston. I gave away tickets to the Super Bowl. Sherry Perry, of course, won them because she wins everything. And it's true. It's true. So we went to the Super Bowl. How many of you know that the Patriots win the Super Bowl because they have the best, only because they have the best coaching and the best people? Only the one Patriot fan said yes. Okay? Here's the truth. The truth is the Patriots have three things. They have leadership, they have coaching, they have talent, and they have systems. How many of you know that the best, most phenomenal college football team on the planet, Roll Tide, that should have won the last championship, should win every championship? And by the way, what is it about human beings that we hate people who win all the time? How many of you hate you because you win all the time? I'm okay with that. You know, it's like, speaking of coaching, Lou Holtz is on the Zig documentary, and he said, 90% of people don't care about your problems. He said, and the other 10% are glad you got them. How many of you know what I'm talking about? So you need leadership, phenomenal leadership. You need people, phenomenal people. I'm telling you, I got phenomenal people. But guess what? You can have phenomenal people, but if they don't have the track to run on, if we don't have a playbook, if we don't execute, at the end of the day, what you're going to learn after a while, if you haven't learned already, is that all of business and all of life is about relationships. It's all about that. But personally and in business, we've got to have some systems to run on. What's the best way to do this? Let's do it that way every time. Why would we not do that? So you need leadership, you need people, and you need systems. And here's the reason that systems are so critical to your business. How many of you have either seen a company or this has been your reality that you grow in revenue, but you lose in profits, right? Okay, you got to have those administration systems. How many of you know that that's the only way you can manage effectively? If my folks have got to know what they're supposed to do when they get there in the morning and what they're supposed to do at lunch. They can't depend on you to micromanage them all the time, and you shouldn't do that. You need to learn how to empower them. We'll cover that a little bit later. By the way, over the next few days, we're going to unpack each one of those systems, all 5 of those systems. How many of you know that even your best talent will perform better when you have systems? All right? How many of you have been to McDonald's? You know the hamburger place? Everybody here been there at least once? Okay. I don't go there anymore, but I know what it is. What's the secret of McDonald's? You can get the same hamburger in Tokyo as you get in Paducah, Kentucky. Because they got a system. By the way, systems are not reserved just to low-priced type companies. Ritz-Carlton Hotel, they have a system. All right? So a calculated service outcome. How many of you have noticed that human beings do weird things? Anybody got employees? Anybody been in business for a while? Okay. I mean, human beings are just strange. And so when you have systems and you have leadership and you have the right people, you're going to have fewer surprises. You're never going to figure out the chambers of the human heart, but you'll have fewer surprises. And how many of you owners are like me that you like to change things up, but you don't do a very good job of communicating, right? That was me back in the day, right? Hey, I thought we changed that. Didn't we have that conversation? I had that conversation in my mind. I never had the conversation actually with the person. How many of you know what I'm talking about, right? Or we had a 5-minute conversation walking down the hallway. Doesn't work. How many of you would like to have a little more freedom to go do some things that you want to do, to pursue some more goals or dreams or spend time with your family? That's why you need to have systems in place. And then finally, how many of you would like to sell your company one of these days? Yeah? For a lot of money. You know, I don't get very many hands on that. You know why? Because there's a lot of people who love what they do. And guess what? That's okay. I'm glad that Brian Tracy has not sold Brian Tracy International, aren't you? And I think probably in a few years, I'll still be doing what I'm doing because I love doing what I'm doing. Now, you can't do everything. You don't have to do everything. But sooner or later, we're all going to leave the building, right? So the question is, what's going to happen to your business when you do that? All right? Now, the number one reason that small businesses don't grow or do as well as they could is something that we call around here FTI, failure to implement. So I want to give you the 4 keys, the 4 golden keys to overcoming FTI. Number 1 is inspiration. Stay around positive people. Stay around people who inspire you. Stay around people who are already doing what it is that you want to do. That's my biggest life lesson right there. Find people who are already doing what it is that you want to do and hang around them. Learn from them. Number 2 is organization. I had a meeting with Ziglar the week before last, and I never noticed that this was the case, but I realized it as we were sitting at the table, so I took this picture. If you're going to be organized, by the way, how many of you know that if you're Sanjay, is it 9 o'clock? 1 minute? Okay. All right. How many of you know that you can implement more if your business is more organized and you're more organized yourself? Brian's really going to help you with that. And I noticed that you got to have 2 things. You got to have that Ziglar planner. Is everybody using their planner? Okay, look at you. Good. All right. And you got to have a Mac. I'm just saying. You know, it's like I looked around. You got a Mac and you got a planner. You're good to go. So you got to keep yourself organized. Number 3 is training. These are proven business systems. You're going to meet people all over this room that are using these proven systems. They work. How many of you know that most small business owners, they're really trained in the technical work that they do, but they're never really trained in marketing or leadership or finance? You don't have to be an expert at everything, but you need to understand it enough so that you can plug in the people and the systems to make that work, and we've got lots of resources for you. And finally, this is the major key right here to implementation. How many of you would agree that we all need people around us to support us, to encourage us, and to help us be accountable? And it's called community. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next segment. Is I'm going to give you the 6 steps of building community in your business. I've been working on this a lot, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Finally, if you're going to overcome FTI, you have to get fit. You have to get your business fit. And the way you do that is focus. What's the goal? What's the dream? Where are we going? That's leadership. Leadership is effectively communicating your vision. We got to stay focused. Then we got to take action. How many of you know that vision without action is just a daydream? What's worse is action without vision is a nightmare. Focus, implement, track. What happened? Or, hey, in a better way, man, what happened? Oh, record sales, what happened? How many of you know that success leaves clues? Focus, implement, track. What worked? What didn't work? Yes or yes? Okay.